roll. Maybe I just lost control. These nights keep on taking tolls. Find me out here on my own.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video on this channel of mine. So girl, today is going to be a story time. And if you have not seen my recent videos, I mentioned I was going to talk about this. And I've literally just decided now's the time because girl, it's juicy. It's juicy. Okay, so we're going to flash back to 2016. It's been a ride. 2016, you guys. This is the era, if you guys remember, this is the era where everyone wanted to be an Instagram model. We were all doing like photo shoots in LA. Like, y'all remember that? Okay, so your girl was trying to do that too. Like, girl, I was trying to hustle. I was doing events at nightclubs. I was trying to get into music videos. Like, girl, I was everywhere. I was everywhere trying to get established in the photography world. Okay, so this is one thing that I do differently than the other girls at the time. Now I know better. Okay, now we don't do this. But this is the thing. At the time, I was working with somebody that had a clothing brand, but he would help me do like, he would do photography for nightclubs, but also be like, hey, do you want to go in? I got like free entry, but you can go in, you know, and like club for free basically while I'm taking pictures. So I was like, okay, cool. And I also did do the dub show event. If you guys are unfamiliar, basically it's like a bunch of cool cars and then like cute girls walking around, and it's just like a car event basically. Okay, so I did do that event with him, and just like a couple of other events. I was doing also photo shoots for his clothing brand, and then he used to give me like free clothes, blah blah blah. Point is, you guys, is that he had brought me in when I was a baby model and had like these two other models that were established like bring me in, and they slowly stopped modeling, but then now I was established at that point. Okay, so then I was the established model he had under his belt that he was working with me. And it was super important at this time who was in your like circle. Like, it was a big deal. Like, oh, let's say, I think back in the day I went under like Queen Lena. I think that was like my model thing. So if you would say out there like, oh, this photographer worked with Queen Lena, it would be like, oh my gosh, you were, you know, she worked with this person. Yeah, like it would be like, that would be kind of your portfolio, okay, who you worked with. So this person, us being linked together, worked perfectly because he was getting clout off of me. I was getting like clout off of him. It's like a mutual clout thing, okay? So since I was the pretty much the only established model he had under his belt, he brought in two other models, okay? But this story time is gonna be about one specifically, okay? Because the other one, no bad vibes. I don't know where she is to this day, but I have nothing bad to say about her. Now the other one, you did it to yourself, girl. You did it to yourself. These girls were not established. They wanted to join the scene. So he was like, hey, take them under your belt, basically, like show them the ropes. And the reason I was okay with it was because, remember, back in the day, I was the one that was established. He had me go under these two other girls. They took me under their belt and they were super sweet about it. Because they did that for me, I was like, yeah, no problem. And unfortunately, that's not how it worked out, okay? So here I am, right? And we were doing club events. So all us girls would go out clubbing and we would just mingle. We would just, you know, just socialize, be like at random tables with these guys, or who are you guys? Isn't this like, it was so fun, you know, back in the day, so fun. Well, that person was taking, you know, pictures of the club and all of that. So this girl, I have been to, oof, maybe a handful of events. I did do the dub show with her, and this is the first time that I felt something off, okay? So I remember this event, and we were gonna meet that said photographer at the event. They ended up picking me up from my place. So the girl's friend, that girl, and we'll name her Rose, okay? Because I got my roses in the background. We'll name her Rose. So Rose, okay, she had her friend, it was her friend driving, and then she was passenger, and then it was me in the back. Okay, so they picked me up because I think we're gonna go to a casino or something, casino pool party, something like that, says. I don't know. So, anyways, so I remember we were going on the freeway, and the way I was taught, sis, is that when people start asking about your financial, they start asking about your career and goals and stuff, you gotta be very careful. Be very careful. Now, when it comes to that stuff, I don't talk about it. I will not talk about it. I keep it very hush hush. But at this time, again, I gave like minimal kind of, little information, but I should have gave zero, because this girl Rose starts, asking questions. Like they all kind of like talked, and they were like, oh, what do you do for work? And I mentioned what I did. And at this time, sis, it was a pretty good amount at that time. Okay, at that time, 2016, I was making a pretty good amount. Okay, and she asked me like, oh, how'd you get in there? And I was just like, oh, well, something really, oh, I just applied, or I just did this. But she asked me, can you get me in there? And at this time, I believe Rose was, she didn't have a job. And I believe she didn't have a car, because I remember the photographer had to pick her up for shoots. I had my own car at this time, and the friend was picking me up at my place. So I believe she didn't even have a car at the time. Okay, I'm pretty sure. So it looked pretty much like she wanted to work at my job, and she kept saying like, can you refer, can you be the referral, can you be the referral? And one thing that my mama has taught me is that you want to be very picky on who you refer, because they could pretty much get you fired. It could be like, you don't know how this person you're cool with on a friend level is going to be on a work level. So that's one of the things. I do not do referrals. Okay, so I was just very blasé about it. I was very like, oh, sure, but this, and yada yada, right? So I was just like, that's weird. Very freaking weird. So then after, we're going to the place, and the friend's like, hey, let's make a pit stop. I got to use the bathroom, and then we'll probably pick up some Starbucks, and we're almost there. I remember this casino was super far away. I think it was like a 2 hour drive, sis. 2 hour, maybe 2 hour 30, something like that. So this whole entire time, as we're heading to this place to do a little pit stop, she asked me a final question, and this is where I messed up. Okay. So I noticed that her friend was trying to like talk about other stuff, but like Rose kept putting it back to how much money I make, what my job, how much money, not only how much money as a model, but like how much money does my job pay me? How did I get it? Just personal stuff like that. But also now she started hitting about my goals and how I do it. She was started to hit like, oh, do you mind? And this is a thing, you don't do this. It's very disrespectful. You do not take other people's photographers. You ask basically for permission. And it has to be like a two thing. Also, the photographer be like, hey, is it cool if I shoot with you? Like, I read this and this. Like, you gotta, it's just a respect thing, okay? So Rose starts telling me, oh, the last person you shot with, let's say shot by something, right? Like, I want to shoot with him. His pictures are good, yada, yada. And I straight out told her, I said, that's actually an ex. That's an ex-boyfriend. We are not on good terms. Like, please don't reach out to him. Like, yada, yada. And she was like, oh, okay, totally understandable. But like, your other photographers, like, do you mind if I like hit them up? Like, this and this. And I did say yes. I did say like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But at the same time, we know the code. It's disrespectful. You don't do that. You do not do that. After that, she tells me like, so how did you get, like, what do you do to like get out there? What do you do? And sis, there's no freaking like recipe to be like, oh, this is how I became successful. You got to try everything and anything. And that's literally what I did. I was trying, I was putting myself out there. I was collabing, I was networking, girl. Like I said, I was everywhere at this point in time because I wanted to make it so bad. So I tell her that, and she starts to tell me like, oh, okay, but like, how do I do it? How do I this? And like, what's your end goal, basically? Girl, I mistakenly told her. At this time, I was super young. I had just turned 21. Rose, I believed, was already 27 or 28. I don't think she was 29 or 30, but she already had years on me. Years, a lot of years, sis. So me being a naive little 21-year-old, I told her my end game, which we at this time this was barely popping up. Now everyone has it, but mind you, 2016, 17, around this time frame, it really wasn't a thing, okay? And people that had this was looked as like, oh wow, you have connections, like you're somebody in order to have this, okay? And that was merch. That was like, we're talking posters that you do your signature, you mail out your little shop. Do you guys remember little cartel? It was like cartel shop something something. It was like this website that all the Instagram models had it. It was like something at cartel something, okay? And like, we're talking like air fresheners, posters, t-shirts with like your model, you're posing on the t-shirt, and like Polaroids that are like, you could send out your Polaroids, write something cute on there. Like, merch in general, okay? And that's what I want to do. So I let her know that. I was like, oh, and stickers, sis. Because that was not a thing, okay? Now everyone and their mama has merch. But back in the day, that was my move. I was like, I'm gonna do merch and I'm gonna go ahead and like make the Queen Lena, whatever my little like model name was, I'm gonna make it a brand. I'm gonna brand myself, okay? I was always the very much out of the box. I was very much thinking, okay, what hasn't been done yet? And I feel like that's why I was so successful in it, because I would think outside of the box and I would try anything and everything, especially in networking, sis. People really don't know how much networking can do. It takes as little as like, oh, I know this person, I know this person, I know this person. And like I said, networking did wonders. So me telling that to Rose, and I didn't think anything of it, sis. I thought she was my friend. I didn't think anything of it. So we pull up, I'll never forget this. We pull up to a Walmart to use the bathroom, and then there was like a Starbucks across. So Rose like runs in there. I remember she was like, I gotta go. She runs, and we're like, okay. So I kick back with her friend, right? And I actually stayed like friends longer with her friend than actually Rose. Okay. So as like Rose runs in there again, she uses the bathroom, her friend kicks back with me and she's like, hey, like, I don't think you should have told Rose all of that. And I look at her and I'm kind of confused because this is your friend. Like they introduced like, oh, this is my friend, yada yada. So I'm like, isn't this your friend? How is your friend warning me about you? So then I was like, I remember like my stomach dropped. I was like, and I didn't know, girl, I was so fresh and new in this. I didn't know how sneaky girls could be in the industry. It's now knowing what I know, girl, don't trust nobody. Don't trust nobody. Nobody, sis. But back in the day, like I said, I was very naive. I was very sweet. I just wanted to help people that I felt were gonna be something. Here's her friend telling me you shouldn't have told her that. And I'm like, but isn't this your friend? She's like, yeah, we're friends, but we're not close like that. She's like, you're young, you're successful. You shouldn't have told her all of that. I don't trust her like all the way, even though like she basically tried to tell me that they weren't that close. She don't really trust her, and she started to peep some stuff that this is a user. She basically called her a user, girl. A user. Like, yeah, she uses me for rides. She doesn't, something along the lines of like, she uses me for rides. She uses me basically too. So now she's gonna do it to you, type of thing. Like warning me, sis. So I was just like, oh shit, here we go. And we hung out, all three of us, but it started to become where Rose went her way and me and this girl got closer. And like I said, we stayed friends longer, and she became actually a really good friend in the end. She actually became like a real friend. But this is the thing, there was a fallout between Rose and that photographer that was like having us like go to these club events, and he was like, hey, you help them, yada yada. So that said photographer, like there was a falling out, they were not cool anymore. So I was like, oh, what's happening? He's like, yeah, something in there, something happened. Okay, we won't speak too much about that, but something happened, sis. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was still kind of working with him, but then he was like, hey, I have new models, so you could take them under your belt. And I was like, no, no. So after that, I was like, I'm okay. Like, I'm gonna do a little bit more freelancing. And I kind of drifted too. I was like, thank you so much for everything. I'm here. But like, I drifted, and now I was like totally alone, where I didn't have a set photographer. I didn't have a group at this point. I was like, okay, let's start fresh. I was moving in a whole different direction, because this direction had to do with a lot of old school classic cars. It had to do with lowriders. It had to do with all of that. Okay. So what I told this girl, my brand, everyone has their brand, what they are, okay? So my brand was going to be me being a lowrider old school car model. Now, it wasn't just because, oh, I want to be cute. Girl, I have the background in it. My parents are old school. We're talking homegirl, homeboy, homies, okay? They're homies. So they raised me on old school music, on oldies. My dad had a couple of lowriders. That's how he got my mama. Just saying. So like they would go on cruise night. Like, girl, I came from that, okay? And I grew up with my dad getting his little subscription to Lowrider magazine. And I used to look at those girls and be like, oh, she's so pretty. I used to look at them, okay, even though they had little bikinis and little, whatever. But I would see them posing, and I didn't see it in a weird way when I was younger. I didn't see like, oh, she's naked or whatever. I saw she's beautiful. Her makeup, the hair so big, the crystal heels. I thought it was so pretty. And I used to always tell myself, I'm going to be on the cover of Lowrider when I'm older. When I'm older, I couldn't wait. I'm going to be on the cover. So, me having the background in it, and also, like, girl, that's what I grew up in basically. And also wanting to be on the cover of the actual Lowrider magazine, I knew those were the steps I needed to achieve that. And I unfortunately told this girl. Does this girl have a background in it? Who knows? But she took it and ran with it. And this is the things that I started to notice about this girl. When we went our separate ways, not only did she work with one of my photographers that I was like, wow, you actually did it. Like, okay, that's cool. She worked with one of the photographers. And then there was also this person that he was pretty well known, sis. Like, he was up there. And I haven't worked with him yet, but we had talked previously, and something happened with schedule conflicts where I was like, okay, like, we got to postpone it. But we had talked prior. Now, he ended up doing a photo shoot with her. That photo shoot was so airbrushed, so beautiful, that it launched her to boom, go up and get so many followers, so much. Everyone wanted to work with that girl. Now, I saw it. At this point in time, we're still friends. I messaged her, you look gorgeous. Oh my gosh, this, and this, right? I messaged this guy and I was like, oh my gosh, you just shot one of my friends. She looks gorgeous. You two killed it. I was very much a girl's girl. Like, you killed it. Oh my gosh, yada yada. Like, me next, please. Like, me next. Like, can we do a shoot? This guy tells me, you know what? Actually, I, don't think, I don't, there's a conflict here. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what's happening? And he's like, I don't think that it would be right because, like, I'm her main photographer, and, like, I don't think she would like if I'll shoot with you. You don't think she'll like it? That's weird. And mind you, again, this guy had followed me first on Instagram. He had wanted to shoot me first, so I don't understand why. And I thought that was really, really weird because I was like, wait a minute, how are you gatekeeping this photographer when you went with the other one and I didn't even say anything? I'm the one that said, oh, you two, you guys killed it, yada yada, whatever the case was. I was super confused. Nothing kind of made sense, okay? And then flash a little bit forward, I ended up seeing that photographer that originally was like, hey, have her under your belt, like, you show her the ropes of modeling, the photography world, yada yada. I met up with him accidentally at a club. We ended up seeing each other, and I told him, I was like, hey, like, how are you been doing, blah blah blah. And I told him about that incident. He was like, oh yeah, I know about that. Oh, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, because I didn't know what was going on, sis. And he tells me, he's like, yeah, well, she's gatekeeping him basically. She doesn't want you working with him. And pretty much she was like talking shit, like threatening him, like, if you work with Lena, I'm not going to work with you anymore. And again, it all comes down to, you want that tie to certain models, or you want that tie to certain photographers because it looks good under your belt. It looks good on your portfolio, okay? That you worked with certain people. So because she was blowing up at this time and I was still building my team, I still was looking for a main photographer. He would rather keep that connection with this girl that was blowing up than even try to see if it would work with me. So that other photographer is the one that spilled the beans and was like, yeah, she doesn't want you, something's happening here. And that's for the first time that I was like, wow, okay. So moving forward, I already established my people, but I wasn't moving in the direction of classic cars, of lowriders. I was no longer doing car shows, classic car shows, lowrider car shows. I was not there anymore, sis. I was moving on to studio shoots. I was moving on to boudoir, which is like lingerie, really classy, sexy shoots. Okay, I was moving towards this direction. I was moving towards getting interviews, getting, like, published in magazines. I was moving towards, like, the glamorous side. She stayed within this one, and from what I saw is that it was building, and obviously she was taking the approach of, okay, let me network, let me go to these shows and give out my Instagram, and she was pretty much taking the advice that I had said I was going to do. Now, this is a twist. I ended up seeing her another time in person. Flash forward, girl, I was already doing something else completely different, and the last time I've known about this girl, she was already established. She was already this model. She already had her merch out, sis. Yes, she did everything that I wanted, okay? And she, last that I've heard of her, was she was doing like it's like the bottle service girls. So I ended up running into Rose, okay? And at the time, even though I knew she was a bottle service girl, I didn't know like which specific club. Now I know. Okay, now I know it's like a little cantina slash club. It's like a 2-in-1 type of thing. Okay, but I end up going to this particular little club slash cantina with this new friend I met. Okay, we go, we land on a table. She meets some friends there. We're all talking, networking, yada yada. And the guy says, "Hey, let's take a picture, all of us." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm looking cute, girl. I am snatched. I was in my gym era. I was so snatched, looking all cute. Okay, I'll try to see if I have the picture. I'll put it somewhere here. But I was snatched, looking cute. And then one of the guys had gone to go ask one of the girls, okay, the little bottle service girls, to take the picture. So I'm not paying attention. I just see the jet black hair, okay? And she has the phone like this. I don't know if she's adjusting or what, okay? But she has her face down like this, body turned away. As she turns her body around, puts her head up, and lifts the camera, and I finally do, because I'm laughing with the guys over here, and I finally do one of these. We both, it's like a snap thing, and I'm like this smiling, and she does one of these, and I see it's Rose. I'm like extra now, like, because sis, oh my gosh, the you guys are just gonna be like, girl, no, no, she didn't. Yes, she the fuck did. And I'm like, I was, oh girl, I was bold. I was bold back then. Now I'm above everything. I'm like, whatever, you know. But girl, I was bold. So I climbed there and I make my way to her, and I'm like, oh my god, hi Rose, like, hi, hey girl. I heard you're a bottle servicing. Is it here? This is where you, oh, oh, okay, like that's cute, you know. And at this time I had a thing, like I felt like bottle servicing was, you know, so I was just like, oh, you're doing that, that's cute, that's cute, okay. I was petty, I sure as hell was. I was like, okay. Anyway, so she tells me, and I was like, ooh girl, okay. So then she tells me like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you forever, you look so good. I was like, thank you, you do too. And she's like, yeah, you know, no hard feelings between us, right? Like no hard feelings. I said, well, no, I just don't understand what happened. I mean, you and, you know, whatever, this the photographer that like initially had us meet and all that. I was like, what happened between you and whatever his name was, right? I was like, you and yada yada. And she's like, yeah, we fell out, whatever the case is. And like, interesting. I was like, okay. And she tells me, she's like, yeah, you know, I no longer work with him. I don't trust him. Okay. And then I was like, yeah, you know, and then last time I was like, the photographer mentioned that you didn't want, that he said that you didn't want us working together. Was that true? And she was like, no, it wasn't that. It's like, he really didn't want, basically, she flipped it where that photographer that was super well known, he said, well, you know, Rose doesn't want us working together. And basically, like, she had got mad at him even considering working with me. She had flipped it, like saying it was him and not her type of thing. And that makes sense, right? So she's now telling me in my faces, she's now telling me, like, yeah, you know, me and you can collab now. Like, let's do shoots in the future. Do you have my number? Like, let me give you my number and I'll connect you. I'll have you come to my events I do, I'll help you out. She was now telling me, I'll help you with events, I'll help you, like, I'll hook you up with photographers. Sis, at this point in time, it wasn't that I didn't have any photographers. I was doing my own thing. I was just very much in a different path from the classic car kind of thing. Because there's different, like I said, there's different things in photography. There's lingerie, boudoir, there's like commercial, there's girl, there's so many sides of it. I was in a whole different ball game. So the person, like this person made it sound like, oh, poor you. Like now it's my turn to help you. And it's like this bitch. The audacity, you guys. The fucking audacity. I was like, but see, back me, I didn't care. Back me, I was like, okay. I said, yeah, that'll be, you know, that sounds good. Give me your number. This and oh, well, let me get you back to work. Like, you know, you got to get back to work. Thank you so much. It was nice seeing you. Get back to work, you know. And then I was over here chilling with the guys, like chilling with the guys, having my little champagne. And actually, that night didn't end off too bad because I ended up meeting one of the guys in there. Was this was back in the day, you could not buy your verification. That little blue check on Instagram, you couldn't buy it at this time, okay? Versus now you can. But I actually ended up meeting someone that was an artist, like a freaking rapper, whatever the heck, okay? Official, like actual artist in there. And I was like, oh, so we ended up connecting, this, and this. It was a good little, what do you want to call it? Little good, you know, getting to know and networking, all that, right? It was good. But to me, it just became one of those things, you guys, that I really really learned the hard way. And I am at the point where I don't feel bad, like, oh, how did she do that? I do feel like it's like, wow, how sad for the little 21-year-old that like wanted to do that at the time. But I don't feel like anything was robbed or taken from me, because I'm at the point where, when I do come across this person's page, because, obviously we still run in the same circles with photographers and all of that. I no longer see it as like, wow, this person's doing what I wanted to do. They took it and ran with it. I see it as what's meant for me is meant for me. And now my bigger picture, it's opened up, because even though this person did run off with that, the person is so behind in the times that I'm like, I can easily just do that. There is a difference where I'm seeing like, wow, you took my ideas, yes, but they stayed stagnant. It didn't move on. And now I feel like if I was to enter the photography world, girl, good luck. It would be a whole different. My mind is just the ideas, the content, the creativity, girl. It's like it'd be crazy. But I'm at the point where, you know what? I don't feel bad, you guys. I don't feel sad or upset or this. It's just more of a like, damn, that was fucked up. Like, I guess, okay. Because again, I don't feel that if I had done all of that, I don't feel that I would be happy. I don't feel like that was the direction I was meant to go with. I know myself now, the girl, the woman that I am now, would not be happy with that, what I wanted, and it very much is that what you thought you wanted ends up not being what you really wanted. And I'm so glad that the person in a way kind of took it around with it, and I can see like, damn, that's what you would have been doing right now. That's where you would have been. And it's not really a space that I would have been. I don't feel I would have been 100% content. I wouldn't be 100% happy. And I'm very much content with where I am and what I've established at this point. Will I ever do photo shoots again, sis? Stay tuned. You never know. Life is short. Stay tuned. But that is my story time, you guys, on how somebody took everything I wanted to be, took my ideas, ran with it, and how her friend, and girl, if you ever see this video, not Rose, fuck you, but the other girl, I can't remember her name for the life of me. But girl, if you ever see this video, you were a real one trying to warn me, little 21-year-old me, about your friend being fake as fuck. Fake as fuck. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the story time, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye, you guys.